Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to you for turn 6 of Ersatz Caen. Now, I realize I've been recording and drafting these videos at a bit of a crazy rate, partly to keep up the momentum, but also because there's a bit of a busy week coming up in the real world, and I know that if I don't get this finished basically before mid-weekend, I may not be able to complete the playthrough. So that's why I've been sort of churning them out like there's no tomorrow. I see that several of you have commented, for which many, many thanks. I have seen your comments and I'll try to reply as soon as I'm able, but I really appreciate your interest in this playthrough, and especially thanks for the pointers and advice. One comment which really made me laugh was the best advice that can be given to the British is to do the honourable thing and run for it because there's an onslaught coming. And you know what, sir? You are absolutely right. In fact, that thought had actually begun to cross my mind because, as you can see from the overall situation, there are German tanks occupying strategic points or tactically significant points all over the map, including that scary panther up there, which, is belatedly coming to join the party. And as they spread and take up their positions, the ability of the British to safely move their infantry around is now really, really limited. And there's only 3 turns left till the end of the game. So this is really starting to go rather wrong. And it's not helped by the fact that every attempt the British have made to knock out a German tank has invariably ended in failure. We've only damaged them. I really want a knockout. If at all possible, I want to try and at least kill that Panzer IV this turn, just to try and wrest a bit of the initiative back. But, the possibility of ordering a withdrawal is also growing in my mind, because the more I think about it, and I've sort of been saying this since I started the series, yes, the British can pull a bit of a cheeky win under the victory conditions by just making sure there's a living infantry unit huddling in that fountain at the end of turn 8. But that seems a bit gamey to me. And if I were a real life British commander in this situation, I would be seriously considering 2 options, or possibly both, really. If one would be a withdrawal, yes, because our lines are being infiltrated. We clearly don't have the right force mix to take on what's in front of us. And it would be clear to me by now that any attempt to take and hold this objective in the face of what we're up against is a bit beyond the capacity of my force, and I'm just going to get men killed for no real good purpose. Failing that, it would be nice, given that this is a Caen scenario, if I could just dial up HMS Rodney, pull my fellows back a bit and tell Rodney to land some 16-inch on these guys, and basically say to Wittmann, that's not a gun. This is a gun, as Rodney's B turret majestically traverses and ranges in on the coordinates that we're giving her. But sadly, there's no mechanism for that. At least not yet. Not yet. So why am I saying all this? Especially, dwelling on negative thoughts of withdrawal. It's because it was crossing my mind, and I did see that comment. It's good advice, maybe we should think about pulling out and calling this one a day. But then those marvellous fellows at Devil Pig Games clearly knew what was going through my head in advance, because they manufactured this card and they placed it in the British draw deck. And so I feel, it made me chuckle. Look at that. I think a bit of gentle fun is being poked at us by the fine fellows at Devil Pig. But you know what? I think I've just been fed a subliminal message, which I'm minded to obey, because how weird is that? So in the face of common sense and all the rest of it, no, we are not going to withdraw. It's late 1944, and we're supposed to be the victorious Western Allies, so we're not going to let a mere tactical setback like this get the better of us. So As you can see, there's not much more I need to say about the overall situation. The fighting is really is building to a crescendo, but like the previous turns, it is the tank that's going to dominate this battlefield. If the British can, by some miracle, knock out one or perhaps even two, I don't know how they could knock out two this turn, but even one of the German tanks, they will buy some breathing room back, especially as the one we want to knock out is a command tank that's worth 2 orders tokens to the Germans. Conversely, if the British lose a tank this turn, then I won't say it's necessarily over immediately, but the odds of retrieving the situation are becoming really minimal. So I think some crucial decisions are going to hinge on what happens this turn. So the British go first, which is nice, and they are going to begin by activating their own command Cromwell. Now he has a good position. He's horribly exposed between two opposing groups of German tanks, but he can bring his main gun to bear on Wittmann's Tiger. And he can also bring his gun to bear on that Panzer IV over there, as can his colleague. Now, I'm going to do a bit of odds calculation here because I have a horrible feeling that Wittmann is not going to allow that tank to live for very long. But the odds of him penetrating the Panzer IV's armour are significantly better than his odds of penetrating the Tiger's armour. So if he's not going to live for very long, it makes sense for him to try and smash a hole in that Panzer over there, which, to be honest, has been asking for it for ages. And I am going to, yes, just give them a firing order. And let's just pray that we're going to be all right. Unfortunately for me, my hypothetical German opponent suddenly shows me this card and goes, no, no, you shall not. I will take my turn first. Which is highly annoying. So, drat, he's going to activate one of his units before I do. Now, this will come at a cost to him because I'll then get a double turn, but I don't think that really matters so much. In terms of his situation. So because its chances of survival are not high, the Germans are going to activate that Panzer. And they are going... Now, they have a choice. There's 2 tanks in plain sight. One is my regular Cromwell and the other's my command Cromwell. There's pros and cons to trying to take out either of them. That one eliminates... Well, they're both an equal threat, really. But if he can kill that one and he survives this turn, he can cause all sorts of mayhem with the infantry here. And my other Cromwell will be tied down just trying to keep itself alive in the face of a Tiger. If he kills my command Cromwell, that would deprive me of 2 order tokens, which will be a very serious loss, and it will block this road, which will actually might ironically be more to the British advantage because it will create a barrier that the infantry can maneuver behind. So maybe there's less appeal in killing that one, but depriving the British of 2 order tokens is a significant win. The only other downside is that if he kills the command Cromwell, it will leave poor Wittmann without much to shoot at, but I'm sure he'd be able to find other targets soon. So I wonder what to go for. I mean, the Germans have done a beautiful bit of initiative snatching. After some quick reflection, because it is the middle of a battle after all, the Germans are going to try and kill the Cromwell that's right in front of them. There's hardly any need to aim at this range. They just fire. At a 5, 9. They penetrate the front armour. No. And they've rolled a 6. Which is a kill. Oh, no. That is a bit of a catastrophe for the British. So we have lost one of our 2 Cromwells right at the outset. Oh, depression or what? So, what to do now? The turn now passes back to the British, and the Germans are probably laughing at us. I can imagine. Well, that enraged command Cromwell is going to try and take revenge for its colleague by returning the favour. And we get a 6. However, our misery is not at an end. The Germans then cackle triumphantly and tell us that our dodgy armour-piercing ordnance bounced right off, and that panzer suffers nothing more than a mild headache. This is the point at which I ask, has anyone got the direct line to HMS Rodney? Because we're going to need it at this rate. That said, I think it's my turn for some shenanigans. So normally the turn would pass back to the Germans, but I'm going to attack. So I am going to immediately activate another unit, although probably not to any great effect, it must be said. The question is, which one? My most useful units have already gone. And I don't know how to go about doing this. We have no good options, really. Actually, do you know what? That staghound up there is going to have to move. Because if it doesn't, death in the form of that panther is going to beckon. The trouble is, I don't know if I... Yes, I can. I think we better get out of there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bit of a wimpy move to just drive your armoured car into the cover of some bushes, but we have been reduced to this, I'm afraid. So I am going to take the German turn next. Arg. Right, so the next German activation is all the way down here. It's that Panzer IV, but it's going to have to do some manoeuvring now, because with the wrecks of those two Cromwells there, it can't really see what it's doing. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The Germans now realise that the British have got no effective anti-tank weapons, and that this is just going to be a bit of a field day for them. Now, the question it faces is another fun one. It can't use its main gun, but it has a perfectly capable machine gun. Is it going to try and swat away that universal carrier? Or is it going to spray some of the defending units in that building, including the prime target that is Lord Lovat? That's a difficult question for the Germans. I mean, Lovat's probably the higher priority target, but it'd be nice to just kill off that little annoying thing before it has a chance to do anything. Well, the chances of winging Lovat are higher, so they're going to spray the building with machine gun fire and try to get him. And they roll a 5, so even with their movement penalty, Lovat's base defense... Oh no, Lovat is fine. The house has protected him. So that was a bit of a frustrating one for that Panzer, but I think next turn he is really going to want to run, and preferably not in that direction, because if he does run in that direction, he's running straight into the arms of a tiger that has a an orders marker on it. Theoretically, I don't know what number that is, but whatever number it would be bad, because my carrier would run out of movement somewhere about there. So, we run. There's nothing for it. So 1, 2, 3. Oh no, we're not going to make it, are we? 5, 6. No. So we desperately turn around in a frantic attempt to get away from there. But do you know what? It's not going to happen. There's not really any more threats for this fellow to address. So what he is going to do... He's going to try and bring that building down. Because Wittmann's unit has high explosive shell, which he can use to target the structure. And he can see the whole structure because that bit that they brought down earlier is part of the entire house. So given that there's a load of British soldiers sheltering inside it, why not? And just to make life a real misery, it's the orange come red template, so that's quite a heavy shell they've got there. And they are going to aim, let's just, right smack dab in the center of the building. And they get a 6. Oh dear. Somebody really loves the Germans today. So they get to roll 3 times against the house's defense rating. Ooh! And every single one of those goes through. So this big building has gone from being semi-pristine to taking 3 structural damage points from 1 shot. Ow. All of a sudden, I'm not sure we want to be caught inside this place. Right, back to the increasingly beleaguered British. Oh, I don't know. I've got a large band of helpless infantry that have no capacity to hurt the guys around them. And all of a sudden it matters a bit less because with only 1 Cromwell left, the Germans have a huge advantage in available gunpowder. I might unreasonably sacrifice a unit though because I must keep my last Cromwell alive. So despite the fact that it's going to probably cost them their lives, I'm going to order that fire team to occupy that part of the ruins, basically threatening to jump down into the objective. So that may force the Germans to pay attention. Over here, the German Panzer II is up next. And all of a sudden, the thing's got slightly less to fear than it did a couple of turns before. So with the British plainly on the run now, the Germans think they're going to get it behind the Panther. As the Panther crosses, I'll show you what I mean. So as the Panther crawls across, this is going to tuck in neatly behind it to add further havoc or spread further havoc around the British lines. And that works out quite nicely for them. Now, as for the final British activation, oh dear, it's not looking so rosy all of a sudden. That Vickers crew is caught in a bad place, really. And it can't move anywhere that's safe. I'm just going to tell it to hold position because there really is nothing those poor fellows can do. And the final German activation for a unit with a unit with an order is the Panther, which is still, as it's been doing since the game started, steadily stalking its prey. And the pincer around the British forces is now very nearly complete. So that just leaves Lord Lovat on the British side, and he has a whole load of bad options now. I mean, whatever he does is not going to be a good decision in terms of just moving. So he might just stay put. I mean, one spot's as safe as the next, really, and the Germans are trying to bring that building down. Crikey, yes. So, at long last, we come to the last German independent operator, which is Wittmann. Now, the question for him is whether he will bother taking out the British tank, as there's so many German opportunities to do it coming up, or whether he'll squish that annoying group of infantry. He can do both. Potent man that he is. So he's going to hit the Cromwell with his main weapon, and he's going to spray the fire team with machine gun fire. So we'll do his main weapon on the Cromwell first. He rolls a 2. That tank seems to lead a charmed life. That's the second time Wittmann's fired at it and failed to kill it. And also, I must say, it's about time the poor Brits have had some luck in this scenario. But I say that the machine gun's about to go for the infantry. And they get a 4, which is a bit more potent. Yes, it is enough. It is enough to reduce that fire team. So, yeah, talking about potent. Never mind that he didn't kill the tank. He's chopping up the Brits who are trying to go for the objective. So now we come to the supply phase. More difficult decisions. I've also created a bit of an inadvertent logjam there. Because Lovat and the other officers are taking up room. What to do with this lot? Okay. I think I will move Maud and Winnie up there just so we can evac a fire team. And further up, just in the hopes of keeping them alive that little bit longer, I'll get the Vickers team up into the building, the ruined building over there. There's nothing much that universal carrier can do, unfortunately. I think I've left it too long there, but actually in the end there's going to be nowhere to run before long. Well, I'll turn them round so at least they're defiantly facing the enemy. It has come to this. Over to the Germans. As ever, there's no point in them advancing Hans Gruber just yet. Oh yes, I must give Wittmann his activated token. And the very gallant German gunners still lugging this hefty piece here are going to hold position in the lee of that building, because that is what they've been dragging forward this whole time, and it is a beautiful anti-infantry weapon. So that this area here would be perfect for them to deploy and finally start shooting when they're ready. The British will see them soon enough if there's any infantry available to spot them. But for the moment, they're setting up in the shelter behind that tiger over there. And so there we go. Turn 6 has been devastatingly successful for the Germans. In fact, just to add insult to injury, that suppression marker goes away. So the British are down to a single tank, and they're facing a ridiculous amount of German armour. Their infantry are completely pinned. There really is nothing. They've lost a lot of their mobility. And we are rapidly getting to the point where we can neither move nor fight effectively. I must confess the last of my optimism is beginning to drain on this one from the British perspective, because I do not see how they can come back from this one. In fact, a couple of their units, because of casualties, are within an ace of being broken anyway, which in a tournament game would net the Germans a lot of points. So it just remains for me to have a quick look. Repairs would have been great if my Cromwell had only been damaged, but for the only time in this game, I think, a heavy tank has been one-shotted and killed. I'll keep that around for a desperate last gesture if I must, or if I can. And I will just draw a card and see what I get. Ooh, okay. Tea time. That might not be such a bad thing. So that's that. Yes, to sum up, I think the Germans have won this one. The only thing I can do is possibly begin withdrawing next turn. But anyway, I'll leave all that depression for the coming turn. I hope this has been an exciting and dramatic one for you. To be honest, most of you probably saw what was coming, so it wouldn't have been too much of a surprise. But thank you for watching this one, and thank you for your company, as always. As is my habit, a massive hello to all my regulars. I hope you guys are all well. To anyone who is visiting my channel for the first time, a huge hello and welcome. If you're here for Heroes of Normandy, there are a few other videos. Please do check those out. And if you spot any other games that I've covered on this channel, you're more than welcome to tune in. Hope you find something you like. And above all, to all of you, thank you for sticking with me. It's been really awesome. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video, assuming I'm not huddled in a crater sobbing as I watch the inevitable destruction of my force. But as I say, we'll leave all that doom and depression for turn 7. See you there, I hope. Bye.